But I want to just give an update on the latest I'm hearing, Pete. Yesterday we talked about Vance Stafford canceling his visit to Miami. That took everybody by surprise. I think Georgia expected him to go to Miami, and at that point probably flip to Miami. Miami expected him to take the visit and potentially flip at that time. But it looks like, at least for now, he says he's sick. He needs to prepare for the 5-star challenge, so he's not going to be able to visit Miami. We'll see. I think big picture, talking to people, this is the business of recruiting. I'll leave it at that. And Miami really likes Vance Stafford. The guy's extremely talented, fast, productive slot receiver. They'd love to bring him in. As of now, we're recording this Thursday late night. No clarity on the situation as far as whether he will visit or not. Again, it was reported he's canceling it, but that's not necessarily a done deal. We've seen these situations before. Miami is working through it, and they love Vance Stafford, so they'd love to get a shot at him here this weekend. We'll see how that one plays out. But I know you were referring to Tristan Keys and Calvin Russell. That's been the big topic. And I was surprised talking to people. There's still a lot of confidence with those two, the Tristan Keys and Calvin Russell, that even if Calvin Russell goes against the LSU, you hear coming up. Tristan Keys, kind of a roller coaster recruitment. I know Alabama kind of cut ties with Tristan Keys just because they were like, all right, we're not going to be part of this. And my view of it, that we talked to the kid, very smart, extremely charismatic, great player. I would take him in a heartbeat. I don't think this is a situation where like there's a character issue or something you don't want to be a part of. But it is, this kind of recruiting is not for everybody. But I'll tell you who it is for. Is Mario Cristobal. He has no problem getting in there, battling, and taking it to the end. So I think that was going to be a long process. But I got confidence that Miami could get one or both of these guys when it's all said and done. And Miami has a good season, which that needs to be part of the equation, at least for Russell, because I think he'll probably – my bet is he'll commit to LSU here coming up, but not impossible that Miami gets in there before July 5th. So we'll see. But again, I was taken aback. I thought it was going to be more negative tone on those two. It's not. I think Miami just needs to keep chipping away and doing what they do. But using not all bad, Pete.
It seems like, if you want to look at a positive, though, that Derek Cooper, who at the running back spot, Chaminade, local product, Miami's really focusing, not that they aren't focusing their attention on these other guys we're talking about, but like, it seems like that one is starting to, I'm not going to say it's done, but I think Miami really feels good about where they're at there.
5-star running back, 6'1", 205, probably 210. I mean, I've seen this guy looks like the Predator, 10.7 speed, and this is an elite player. This is the kind of guy that Miami's been losing to the Ohio States, to the Georgias, to the Alabamas, and they're trying to end that. Texas also involved with Derek Cooper. Florida State took their shot, but I think this is one where Miami is trending, and there's a lot of confidence that Miami's going to get this one done. If they do, this is a top-of-the-board type offensive prospect, best player in South Florida, certainly best prospect in South Florida. You got to get this one done if you're Miami, and it seems like they are going to be able to get that one done, but it's not a done deal. Obviously, I like this. Talking about all the recruitments, I feel good about this one. I feel good about where it's going. It just makes a lot of sense between how much we prioritize him, the fit. He's getting negative recruited like crazy. Other schools, you saw with Jackson Canwell, they negatively recruit Miami hard. But with Cooper, I mean, what can you say? We're going to have the best offensive line. We have the number 5 running game in the country, yards per carry. This guy runs a 10.7, put him behind our offensive line. Those 20, 30-yard runs we had last year become 60, 70-yard runs. Perfect fit. I like where it's trending. I feel good about the Derek Cooper recruitment. The interesting part, Pete, is that other running back. So Javian Mallory, West Boca, committed to the University of Miami. Took a visit to Alabama. And, talking to people, that was not something that they love to see, right? I mean, it's one thing if like a Cooper's taking his visits, he's not committed. Mallory is a South Florida guy, West Boca, that committed and now flirting with Alabama out of nowhere. I think Miami's kind of the position that, hey, love Mallory, love the player. South Florida guys can't treat us like, hey, you're committing and you're visiting all these other schools. You look around, we're going to be looking around. Brought in Jay Lamar from Moultrie, Georgia last week. A lot of interest from Jay Lamar for Miami. So we'll see. Mallory's visiting this weekend, but I didn't get the impression that the storm had blown over and Mallory's just going to visit this weekend. It's all going to be good. That could be how it plays out. But Jay Lamar has a lot of interest, so I think the only thing I feel good about with this running back class is that Derek Cooper, I think they're going to get that one done. I don't know that for a fact, but I like the way it's lining up. it'd be a catastrophe if it doesn't go Miami's way. But I think that one's going to line up. So the other one we'll see is going to be Cooper and Lamar. Is going to be Cooper and Mallory, or are they going to go in a whole different direction? I don't know. We'll see, but that's one to watch. But I think Cooper is kind of the key name at the running back position.
Let's talk about another skill position, tight end. So there's a couple guys that Miami seem to be trending with right now. We've talked a lot about Israel Briggs in recent episodes here. We'll get to him in just a second, but Zachary Turner, we've talked about him as a potential mismatch, not your traditional inline tight end. Elijah Lofton, someone that you reference in the bank that you wrote up here on the website. Again, this is all available for free on CanesInsight.com. So Zachary Turner, talk about him a little bit, and Miami's not only their interest in him, but I think he's kind of a name that's floated a bit under the radar. So what is it about him that kind of has you reigniting his name here in this latest edition of the bank?
Yeah, we love this guy. We talked about him on the show, both of us. 6'2", 226. I mean, he's not light, but he's very much a receiver. We talked about him on the show, played his film from Duncanville, Texas. That's where Keelan Russell, 5-star, went to Alabama, is going to play a freshman here as a quarterback. Decorian Moore, who went to Oregon. I think he's probably going to be the next Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, not necessarily that good, but that type of freshman guy that everybody talks about for Oregon this year. So a loaded team. But this guy was one of the best players on that team as a tight end, receiver, kind of like an Elijah Lofton. That's the internal comparison, but more, more big play receiver type than necessarily, leaner. Lofton's a big guy, 240, like a running back. But Turner's a really, really good receiver. I mean, you see him here, hands catch, gets upfield, splits the safeties. This is big time football, guys. This is not intramurals. This is big time Texas football, and this guy's making big time plays. Southern Methodist, which is the local school being in Dallas, Texas, made a big run, and Miami was kind of like, hey, that's going to be a tough visit to withstand because they're going to throw the kitchen sink at him. But it looks like Miami's impression has stuck, and that Miami is trending for a Zachary Turner. And if Miami can get this one done, it's not a done deal, but you see him break tackles here. This is one of the best football players, at least according to the internal evaluation, and quite frankly, what we're looking at here, Pete. And we were talking about this guy for months. This is one of the best pure football players in the class. And I'm a huge fan there. You see him blocking. He's tough. Lofton's not the same kind of player. They're both shorter tight ends with versatility. But, Lofton, I think they both were number 9 from what I could see. This guy's more of a receiver, I think, than Lofton, at least as far as running and with speed, right? I mean, look at the speed on this guy. This guy can really, really run. Lofton can run too, but I think this guy's a little faster. Lofton probably a little stronger. I love this guy. And I was talking to somebody about him, and the anecdote was very interesting. It was an anecdote actually about Elijah Lofton. And when Miami had Jeremiah Smith being, when he was being recruited, JoJo Trader, all those guys, they would ask him, hey, who's the best player you guys played against? You guys played against everybody. And Jeremiah Smith was like, listen, man, the guy we played for, Bishop Gorman, that's the best player by far. There's no number 2. And then the other guys agreed. Obviously, that turned out well. I mean, we'll see how Lofton plays this year, but I think he's the best player on the team. With this guy, Turner, they were talking to guys in Texas about who's the best guy around, who's the best guy you played against, talking to coaches on that Duncanville staff, who, again, these guys had the best players in the country last year. Everybody is saying, this is the guy you need. SMU's trying to keep him home. I think Miami's going to have a chance to bring that one in.
And then Israel Briggs, of course, Miami's been trending in a very positive direction there for a few weeks, it seems like.
Top 10 tight end in the country. I believe he's a top 75 player overall, at least on 247. Super athletic. We talked about this guy a bunch. LSU, Miami, he commits next Tuesday. I think Miami gets it done and brings in Izzy Briggs, which would be a top 100 player to add to the haul here. It was going to be a very good top 10 recruiting class, and potentially higher.
The national predictions for Tyron Evans at wide receiver starting to come in from Miami, a guy that we've talked about here for a couple weeks, really, and someone that decommitted from Tennessee, and Miami has wanted pretty badly here.
Yeah, I mean, this is somebody that it's like Russell comes on the visit, LSU buzz, Tristan Keys visiting Tennessee, all that stuff going on. And there's a question about, is Miami kind of moving on to other targets? Tyron Evans at that time decommits from Tennessee. How's that whole thing work? I can tell you this. Tyron Evans was a major target regardless of what happens to anybody else. Calvin Russell and Tristan Keys can call up and commit tomorrow. We're still taking Tyron Evans. He's a major, major priority for the staff. He was a priority for Tennessee. It was not a drop situation. Miami really put the pressure on after the official visit. Tennessee tried to hold on. Miami's able to pull him out of there. Looks like it's going to happen here for the Canes. I like Miami to get Tyron Evans, 6'3", 200 pounds. Heard he looked incredible on his visit just from a physical standpoint. He's listed at like 185, but he's legit on the scale, 200 right now. 27 yards per catch, 14 touchdowns in pretty good competition there in Charlotte. I know someone has raised the question about his competition yesterday in the chat, but his competition is very, very good, both on the field and then in practice. He goes against Samar Matthews, the corner Miami's battling Texas for. That Miami thinks is one of the best players in the country, period. And Evans wins his fair share of battles in that one. So this is a guy Miami loves. Tennessee loves. That'd be a head-to-head battle with Tennessee. I think Miami's going to win that one.
Let's get to the trenches. A couple names that Canes fans are very familiar with have been on campus recently. Breck Kaloje at offensive line, IMG, and then James Johnson, defensive tackle out of Miami Northwestern.
Yeah, I'm going to kick Kaloje to you in a second, because I know you have information on that one. But basically, with these guys, Kaloje visiting USC midweek and then going to visit Tennessee at the end of the week, those should wrap his visits up, but we thought Georgia might wrap his visits up last week. James Johnson was scheduled to visit Syracuse. He's originally from New Jersey, I believe from Patterson, New Jersey, I want to say, same place as Fran Brown. But to cancel his visit to Syracuse, goes to Texas. I think Miami feels very good about where they're at with both of these players right now. USC is a big money school right now. They're paying a ton for high school kids. So Texas always pays a lot. Tennessee pays. So is Miami. It's not like, it's whining. It's the fact that, hey, these are dangerous schools on a visit, but going in, Miami is the favorite for both of those guys. And I know you talked to some people about Kaloje in particular.
Yeah, I would echo what you've said on him. And I think that after his visit, there was an understanding that he would go through his process, when we've talked about it on the show, but Miami has remained not only in contact with him, but pretty consistently confident, not in a cocky way, but just understanding that there's no surprises in how he's handled this. So I think that they believe that they're in a good spot.
Yep. I think they got a great chance at both of these guys and major priorities. But look, it's recruiting. You go on those visits. And I'll give you an example here. Keyshawn Stansel, another defensive tackle, who I talked to him after his visit to Miami, and he sounded like he was ready to commit right there from Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh. I've screwed this up every show. He sounded like he's ready to commit to Miami after his visit. He then goes to Clemson, closer to home, has a great visit there. Now it looks like, I would say, Clemson is leading Miami on the outside looking in for Keyshawn Stansel. So it'd be a shame. He visited unofficially, major target, a lot of time spent recruiting him, but that's recruiting defensive tackles in the Southeast. You win some, you lose some. I think that one probably go to Clemson, is my guess.
So another one that Miami's battling Clemson with, Blake Stewart in the defensive backfield.
Top of the board type prospect. Miami loves this guy from Atlanta. Visited twice unofficially. We visited him in Atlanta. He visited officially last weekend. He already visited Clemson. Now he goes to Michigan. I think this is a classic guy that Michigan and Clemson get. That kind of low 4-star with great character, great athleticism that they develop into a first-round pick. That's the impression I get from this guy, and I'm not surprised that you're looking at a Michigan and Clemson, high character schools, high athletic trait schools, and guys that go pro and have success. But I think Miami can win this one. Miami had a great visit. Communication remains good. It's a battle. This is not like a done deal, but I think Miami's a great shot to win it. But it's a battle. You got Michigan this weekend. That's another one, another potential monkey wrench. But Miami loves Blake Stewart, and the feeling is mutual. That's one I think the Canes have to win, given the amount of visits both ways.
You say in the bank that you expect Miami to flip linebacker J.J. Edwards from Orlando, who's committed to Rutgers right now.
Yep, Rutgers commit. Rutgers doesn't like their guys visiting. He committed to Rutgers, and he visited Miami right away. This is a guy Miami's really wanted since spring. He had a great spring. We watched him last one of these shows this week where we watched his spring highlights, and I know you were really impressed, Pete, getting off blocks, sideline to sideline, pass coverage. I mean, he looked like a real linebacker from Orlando. Edgewater. What's the thing on the shirt? The water?
Says the water, yeah.
So, yeah, they got the cool uniforms, a traditional program there in Central Florida. 6'1" officially. I think he weighed 195 at the Under Armour camp, which is a little light, but he's got a big body. I think he'll be 200 plus by the time he might already be 200 plus, certainly by the time he gets to Miami. But he ran a 4.57 40. So you're talking about speed. This guy's got it. The spring highlights are great. Rutgers really good at evaluating these kind of guys. They got on him early, but it looks like Miami's going to be able to get this one done, and they're excited about it. This is not like a backup plan kind of linebacker. This is a guy that once they saw him in person, once they saw the testing, they wanted to add him. I think you'll see him come to Miami. He'll be 6'1". He could be as much as 205, 210, running 4.5. So and then knowing how to play linebacker on top of that, so that works. And I think Heatherman's big on testing and traits, and I share that approach. I think you got to get guys with testing and the ability to run. They got to be football players too, but when you have guys with good testing, you're looking at a smaller pool, and then you just got to watch film and see if they can play. If they check both of those boxes, those are the guys you got to get. Those are the guys that go pro.
You note that the Canes will put a full court press on Jason Lopez, local star, football, basketball player. We've been a big fan of his for a while on this show, and you say that he's a big priority for Coach Cristobal.
Yeah, I use that basketball analogy by accident, but obviously this guy's a two-sport player. I know you talked about the basketball part being a big part of his recruitment. We'll see how that goes. He's a point guard, very productive player. I'd love for him to play basketball for the Canes. I think he could help us. But just to me, the best receiver in South Florida. I saw him at the camp. Under Armour camp, which had all the guys there. He was the best receiver there by far. I thought on the field, he had like 1,300 yards or something insane for Chaminade. I mean, Jeremiah Smith type production, different body, obviously, different prospect. But he plays multiple sports at a high level, high level basketball player, Pete, as you know. He's incredibly productive at a major school, and not just like makes a few plays. Like, I mean, it's not normal to have that many yards at Chaminade unless your name is Jeremiah Smith. It's not that normal to have that many yards anywhere. I mean, you're talking about, 1,200, 1,300 yards. Got to pull up the exact numbers, but he was balling. And then at camps, he's the best guy by far. So you check all those boxes. I think this is somebody who I'd be shocked if he's not a 1,000-yard receiver in the college level. Just depends on health. But I would be very disappointed if the Canes can't get this one done. I think they will get this one done because I just know Mario is obsessed with this guy and really wants to get him. The basketball's a potential complication, but I think when you get him in the building, and I pulled up the stats, 1,222 yards, 16 touchdowns. I mean, 73 catches in high school with other good players. You got to get this guy. You've got to get Jason Lopez, and I think Mario is going to really press hard on this one.
Someone not visiting this weekend, defensive end Jaquz Wilks, due to a family health issue.
Yeah, nothing to worry about here. So we've talked about, and I think 247's also talked about, there's a lot of confidence in Jaquz Wilks. He's from Wiley, Alabama. This is not Miami country, but he visited in the spring. We visited him in spring also. There's a lot of hope he can get this one done. He's a really talented player. I think Auburn's recruiting him as an actual middle linebacker. But when you watch him play a defensive end, he has that ability as well. And I think for us, that's where we like him as an edge rusher. But you see him playing running back. I mean, this guy's a super athlete, just a really talented guy. And I think Miami would love to land this guy. It's a legitimate family health issue. Not even bad news actually, but just something that he has to attend to. And Miami knows and encourage him to attend to what he needs to attend to, and they'll hopefully get him on campus, maybe by himself. They have unlimited official visits, so maybe they'll get him by himself in July here. And just, I know there's a dead period too, so we got to figure out the timing of it. Who knows how they'll work it out? But this is someone that I'd be surprised if he doesn't make it to Miami. He's a major priority. He visited unofficially, and Jason Taylor went up there. Like, it's literally just a situation where a health situation intervened. There was no there's not like a Vance Stafford situation where the schools are trying to discourage him from visiting. I think he'll get down here eventually, and he has a chance to be in the class. Just got to get him on campus.
So so more of an edge rusher is what you're saying for Miami?
I think so. Other schools like him at linebacker. You see him playing running back here. I mean, he's an overall athlete. He's from a small part of town. I mean, you look at the bleachers, not exactly the biggest facility here over in Wadley, Alabama. But I think edge rusher for Miami. Jason Taylor's the one that visited him when he went up in spring. So we'll see on that. But if you see him not here, don't freak out and worry about, hey, is this another cancellation at Auburn, throw a bag and I had to not visit? I don't think, from what I understand and what I'm told, there's nothing like that at all.
And then your last note in the bank here is that Brody Jennings, cornerback commit for Michigan, who recently visited Miami. The Canes are still trending good with him.
Yeah. I think this is someone Miami believes is one of the best man cover corners in the country. Commit to Michigan. We just talked about Michigan, that they're pretty good evaluators of these kind of guys, these low 4 stars. And they know what they're looking for. They got this guy. Miami's going to have a chance to flip him. I think they will. I think if it wasn't for, the tragedy that hit his family right before his visit when his father passed away suddenly of a heart attack, I think he probably would have been a Cane already. That kind of thing throws everything for a loop. He's taken visits since then, including Miami. But I think Miami's still right there and with a chance to flip him and get that one done. And they love to. They think he's a great player.